But I am back with our free online class, continuation of the Zodiac and the Gospels. So our textbook, as you can see, is the Gospels and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure, by, this is Bill Darrell-El. Bill Darrell-El. So the link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video. Download it, get it printed the same way. I have this copy printed and bound. You will always need the physical copy of a book, okay? It's always best to have the physical copy of a book. Working with anything else will not only wear you out, but it's very bad for your eyes. And it's more difficult for you to follow this presentation if you're trying to look at a PDF, okay? So make sure you download and bind this PDF. All right, let's get into it. We're on page 171. 171. So as a reminder, the value that I'm adding is specifically my analysis. My decades of formal education that I've spent literally hundreds of thousands of Federal Reserve notes on, okay? So you're getting the benefit of my formal education. You have not had to sweat, suffer, experience any type of hardship to acquire the benefit of my education that I'm going to share with you right now for free. Now that's formal. Also the years, the decades of informal education that I have obtained, okay? So you're getting all of that, but more important than that is my analysis. That's the value. That's why you should continue coming here, all right? And if you don't find that it's valuable to you, then you should not come, okay? So that's what I'm offering you, my analysis, okay? So in exchange for that, and in exchange for the presentation, the information I'm going to give you, I expect for you to like and share the video if you stay longer than 5 minutes, all right? If you don't want to like and share for whatever reason, then you're invited to leave. Gentlemen's agreement, do not stay. No one-way street, okay? No one-way street. I don't do this with the expectation of nothing in return. I don't care what you do or what you believe, all right? But the gentleman's expectation is, if you're here longer than 5 minutes, subscribe and like the video. Not subscribe, but like and share the video. Share it in your chat messages, on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media you have, okay? Share it. Now, if you've been here for 5 minutes more than 2 times, then I expect for you to subscribe, okay? The reason why I'm putting these expectations here on you in a gentleman's agreement is because YouTube shadow bans this channel. So in order for this information to get out, you must participate in its distribution, all right? So that's why I am putting these expectations on you. All right, so now that's bound. Okay, that's bound. I put my expectations out there. There is a law of compensation, okay? There is a law of compensation. If you don't know what that is, go back and watch the other videos that I've done where I discuss the law of compensation. So here, I'm at a new coffee shop, a new cafe that's actually much, much better than the one I'm live streaming from when I'm going to work every morning. So what I have here, this is lemon tea. You see they give you a very nice glass. In Vietnam, the lemon is green. Let me see if I can get this lemon. Can y'all see the green lemon? The lemons are green in Vietnam, okay? All right, so in the Philippines, they have a smaller version. It's actually about the size of a quarter. It's called calamansi, but here they just call it a lemon. This is very, very delicious. Very, very delicious. Okay, so let's get with it. Make sure y'all let people know we're here. Okay, so we're going to begin with our first subheading. Page 171. You all can see the source, the Sagittarius source of Mark is Mark 11, 1 through 26. First subheading, spiritual lessons of Sagittarius. Let's get into it. This section begins with a striking and dramatic presentation of the Sagittarius symbol, JC. Just JC, the Christ figure. So those of you who are new, whenever I say JC, that means the Christ figure from the Gospels, okay? All right. This section begins with a striking and dramatic presentation of the Sagittarian symbol, JC, the Christ figure. Astride a cult becomes the embodiment of the centaur. So that's the half man, half horse, right? This is a hybrid creature. So from the waist down, William Dote, Shalom. Shalom back in Islam also. All right, so from the waist down, or from the, let's say, pelvis down, it is a horse. So a horse is used in battle. Horses are strong, they're fast, they're agile, okay? From the pelvic area up, it's the man, okay? So we're dealing with a hybrid, so the consciousness is not the same as a Genesis chapter 2 man and woman. Different consciousness, different executive function or functionality or capacity, capability of the frontal cortex. Y'all got me? Okay, looks like a man, but is not. Has the, what is the word they use in Black's Law Dictionary? Does anyone remember it? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. But looks like a man, but doesn't have the substance of a man. All right? So this is where we get that half horse, half man figure. And JC riding into the town on a colt is symbolic of the centaur. All right, Sagittarius. What does he have in his hand? He has a bow with an arrow, and the bow is pulled back. Okay, so that means he's aiming. Battle. All right, battle. So the mind of a man, excuse me, the mind of a man ready for battle. So what are some things about a horse? A horse, if you try to ride it, it's going to throw you off until you what? Until you break it. Okay, horses love to run, they roam, they travel. They don't like to stay in one place. The lemon is a little bit sour, hold on. So they don't like to stay in one place. Okay, so it has the tendencies of an animal, of a horse. Okay, and it has some executive function like a man. All right? So let's continue. This cafe has very good service. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll be coming back here often. Okay, JC sends two of his disciples into the village where they are to find a colt on which no one has ever sat and bring it to him. The text continues. So this is a quote. Remember the Sagittarius section of Mark is chapter 11. So this is coming from 7 through 10. They went and found a colt outside in the street where two roads meet, Amkudan, tied at a doorway. As they untied it, some people standing there asked, "What are you doing untying that colt?" They answered as JC had told them to, and the people let them go. When they brought the colt to JC on the road, Let me repeat that. When they brought the cord to JC and threw their cloaks over it, he sat on it. Okay, so now he sat on it. So now you have the horse and the man. So this is the cantor. Okay, so this is Sagittarius, the zodiac signs. Clear? Okay. Many people spread their cloaks on the road, while others spread branches that they had cut. So we're going to go to the asterisk, the footnote later, that they had cut in the fields. Those who went ahead and those who followed shouted, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the capital Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest. Okay, this is Mark 7 through 10. So let's go down to the footnote. The footnote reads, curiously, an early Chinese name for Sagittarius is Simu. Let me show you this. So this is showing how this is an indication. Okay, so you all can see that. So you can pause the video on the playback, okay? So this is another indication of how these editors went into the document and they edited, they pulled from astrological sciences from all over the world and they put it into the gospel, covered or hidden, okay? Hey there. In Vietnam, they allow animals into some of their cafes. So some people bring their dogs. Let me show you this dog. He's cute. Let me show you. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe they don't want me to. I'm not going to show it. All right, let's continue. But again, this is an indication or a data point. Let me put it like that. This is a data point showing that in these edits, information was taken from Chinese astrology, taken from the Bhagavad Gita, and other spiritual systems, okay? All over the world, all combined, okay? All combined. Hinduism, you name it, all of it's in there. Okay, so let's continue with the footnote. The cleft tree or the branches cut for firewood. Okay, this is from Allen, page 356. Okay, so there's your citation for that. Those of you who want to go into that further. The cry of the people, Hosanna, means save we pray in Hebrew. But the salvation they seek is not the kind that JC will offer. Now, isn't that interesting? JC brings the salvation of the wise teacher, Cryon. Chrion. So this is what JC brings, all right? Okay, so who is Cryon? Cryon died that Prometheus might live. Not the bogus salvation wrought by insurrection and war. Mark has married Hebrew and Greek motifs, extremely successful in this incident. Now, what's interesting about that? So, Hebrew and Greek motifs. So, if you look at the Western calendar, or the data points of historical events when they happen, Hebrew or Israel was around thousands of years before there ever was a Greek, right? Before there ever was a group of people called Greek. So now we have a conflict in chronology, right? A conflict in chronology, but a pairing or matching of motifs. So whenever this happens, scholars, you should be cautious. Okay, you should be very cautious and rely on etymology to resolve any type of questions. Okay? In other words, to get to the bottom of it, you're going to use etymology and philology. Okay? Period. All right, let's go back. Okay, so Mark has married Hebrew and Greek motifs, extremely successful in this incident. Again, there's thousands of years between these two. Okay? In addition to the image of Cryon, he has woven into the text strands from Psalm 45, the royal wedding song, in which the bridegroom with his sword upon the thigh rides to meet his bride. That's verse 3. The shouts of the people echo the psalm's extortion. Okay, this is verses 4 and 5. In your majesty ride forth victoriously on behalf of truth, humility, and righteousness. Let your right hand display awesome deeds. Let your sharp arrows, and there's the Sagittarius reference. Let your sharp arrows. Sagittarius having the bow, right? Pierce the heart of the king's enemies. This psalm abounds in Sagittarian images. The principal one, of course, is the horse, but the arrow is mentioned, and even the thigh on which the bridegroom wears his sword is ruled by Sagittarius. So why is the thigh ruled by Sagittarius? Because the thigh is below the pelvis, right? So the thigh is actually the horse's thigh or leg. Clear? All right. As Manilius tells us, see Appendix 2, so we'll go to Appendix 2 after this paragraph. Mark's original readers would undoubtedly have been aware of these associations, and they would have also made the connection between JC's ride into Jerusalem and the passage in the prophet Zechariah, which runs. So let's read this and then we'll go to Appendix 2. All right, this is Zechariah 9:9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, daughter of Jerusalem. See, you king comes to you. Let me repeat that. See, your king comes to you, righteous and having salvation, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. Zechariah 9:9. All right, so do you all see that? A clear reference to Sagittarius. Now, a donkey. What do we know about a donkey? Isn't a donkey a hybrid? A donkey is a hybrid. So isn't it very interesting that the reference to JC is a hybrid? Not only the half man, half horse, or half donkey, but the donkey itself is a hybrid. And so here we reference back to the Raphaim, right? The Nephilim, their offspring, the Raphaim, these are hybrids, all right? So anyway, when you know the character of a donkey is very stubborn, very strong, right? Very strong, but very stubborn. And this, in fact, is the nature of a corporation, right? Corporations are hard to move. Okay, they're hard to move. If you want to know why that is, you can look at the organizational structure of corporations. So there's a lot of people involved, okay, and a lot of hierarchy. So it's very difficult to move. All right. Let's go to Appendix 2. and see what they have for us. And in Appendix 1, the author, this Bill Darlington, let me show you the cover page. So here we are. All right, so Bill Darlington, in Appendix 1, he gives his own translation of Mark. Okay, so that's worth reading. I don't know if I'll go through it in this course. You may have to do that on your own, but it's definitely worth reading. Okay? All right. It's actually quite nice quite good, because it has each section and the subheading of the zodiac sign. So, for example, okay, so you can navigate through this very easily. Very, very good reference. Okay, Appendix 2. All right, let me get to where we need to be. Okay, Appendix 2 is on page $256. Page 256. Let's go to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the bowman, the figure of a horse with a body. Now, scholars make the distinction. Sagittarius is a horse with a human body from the pelvis down. Now, what's below the pelvis? The genital area. Okay, so we all know the way animals behave in that regard, right? What else do we see in the description in Mark? He comes in on a donkey. So a donkey is a hybridization of a horse. So the psychology of a horse and a donkey are very different. A donkey is a beast of burden, very strong, right? Very strong, but very stubborn. So put two and two together. Put two and two together. All right. The figure of a horse with the body, arms, and head of a man, a centaur, with a drawn bow and arrow pointed at the scorpion. Now, y'all know that the scorpion is what gave JC the kiss of death, right? The scorpion gave JC the kiss of death. So that would be Judas. So Judas kissing JC, people teach that it was to identify him. No, that's astrological. That's astrological. Okay? Let's continue. The deacons of Sagittarius. One is Lyra, L-I-R-Y, an eagle holding a lyre, as in triumphant gladness. The second deacon, Ara the altar, with consuming fires burning downward. And 3 is Draco, the dragon, the old serpent, winding himself about the pole in harlots, links, and contortions. So that would be, for example, like when I was in medicine. Okay, there's the pole, and then there's the snake coiled up the pole. Okay, so that's Draco. Draco the dragon or the snake. You can also correlate that with any dragon that you see throughout Scripture. Okay, a serpent. All right. As a reminder, Deacon is a constellation in the neighborhood of a zodiac sign. All right. So these are constellations near a zodiac sign. So the constellations that are in the neighborhood of Sagittarius are Lyra, Ara, and Draco the dragon. Anyway, that's all that is on that part. So let's go back to the text. Let's see how long have we been going. We've been going about 25 minutes. All right. So let's see if we get anything more interesting than this. For me, this is kind of flat. But let's keep going. All right, page 172, paragraph 1. It is interesting to note that Mark's version of JC's journey into Jerusalem does not refer specifically to any Old Testament passage. So your light bulb should be going off right now. Instead, Mark lets our imagination and our memory work on the image. So this is clearly transportation narrative happening in your face, so obvious that the author here even mentions it. Okay, so this technique does not just happen here. It happens all throughout the text. Okay, the NT, the New Testament, the Gospels. Okay, remember these documents have been edited. All right. So transportation narrative. Let me read that again. It is interesting to note that Mark's version of JC's journey into Jerusalem does not refer specifically to any Old Testament passage. Instead, Mark lets our imagination and our memory work on the image. Okay, so need I say anything else about transportation narrative? Those of you who didn't see it or question or doubt it, well, now you see the author here saying it himself. It's a real phenomenon. It's a real literary technique, okay? Very real. Matthew, however, sees this incident as a fulfillment of Zechariah's prophecy, Matthew 21, 1 through 11, and even has J.C. ride absurdly on two animals, an ass and a colt, to make sure Zechariah's words are fulfilled to the letter. Now, y'all go back and research this. Here is another problem with the Gospels. Let me show it. Okay, the reason why I showed this is so that everyone can see it for themselves. This is not my work. I'm just presenting someone else's work. Okay? Y'all take a minute and read the paragraph. Actually, you only need to read about the first 2 or 3 sentences. Okay, I'm going to remove it in about 1 minute, okay? Make sure you read the paragraph. All right, this is a very significant point. All right, I want to keep going. Okay, let's continue. Matthew, however, sees this incident as a fulfillment of Zechariah's prophecy. Now, you must keep in mind that Mark wrote the very first gospel. Matthew, Luke, and John wrote theirs off of Mark's, according to many scholars, okay? Of course, the doctrinal view of this is that each one had their own point of view, and they wrote what they saw. All right, giving you multiple perspectives. But y'all do it. I mean, I don't think I need to say anything else. You have your mind of your own. All right, let's continue. And even has J.C. absurdly ride on 2 animals, an ass and a colt. So how do you explain that, scholars? How do you get around that? What's the explanation? To make sure Zechariah's words are fulfilled to the letter. Y'all see that? So in other words, the editor made sure that the prophecy came true, not the event itself. Is that clear? It's the editor, the writer, whoever wrote Mark, rather. Not Mark, whoever wrote Matthew, wrote it so that Zechariah's prophecy would be fulfilled. Clear? Y'all see it? All right. So let's continue. So you'll get this in Matthew 21, 1 through 11. All right. It is from Matthew's fidelity to Zechariah that we get the image of JC riding on a donkey or ass, in Greek onos, O-N-O-S. Mark uses the word polos, P-O-L-O-S, which is much more generic and which is always translated, quote unquote, colt, C-O-L-T. It could as well be a horse or be the horse of Sagittarius as the donkey of Zechariah. Now, do you all get that? In other words, they used ambiguous terms. You don't know if it's a horse or a donkey. It's ambiguous. It's up to you to imagine. Okay? And since you want to believe, you're going to imagine whatever it is that you need to in order for your belief to be true. Okay? Transportation narrative. See, this is you actively participating in your own brainwashing or in your own acceptance of a story that you don't know anything about. Okay, but you want to believe it. All right? Let's go through that again. It is from Matthew's fidelity to Zechariah, that's Zechariah's prophecy, that we get the image of JC riding on a donkey or ass, onos. Mark uses the word polos, which is much more generic, okay? Generic means ambiguous, non-specific, broad, and which is always translated colt, okay? So it's always translated colt, but it's very generic, it's broad, meaning you can translate it as other things, which the author writes. It could as well be the horse of Sagittarius as the donkey of Zechariah. Now there's a footnote. So let's get into this footnote. Okay, so we're on page 172. Abbott Smith gives for polos, P-O-L-O-S, quote, a fowl, F-O-A-L, colt, properly a horse. Then the young of the other animals, all right? So Omar writes, thank you. It's my pleasure, Omar. Definitely my pleasure. You're welcome. All right. For onos, quote, an ass from a manual lexicon of the New Testament, 1986 edition, T&T, Clark Limited, Edinburgh. Okay, and Greenrich or Gingrich, following Bauer, considered that polo simply means quote unquote horse. W. Bauer has made more extensive researches in which he shows that polos in Greek literature from Homer down means young animal, when another animal is named in its context, but simply horse, not colt, when no other animal is so found. Now, there was no other animal in the account that we reviewed, right? So, according to that lexicon, it would be a colt. So here we see three terms or three meanings: horse, ass or a colt, or any animal, any young animal. That's very broad, very ambiguous. Okay, it's up to your imagination, and it gives the editor room, liberty to write whatever they want to write. Y'all see that? They can write Zechariah or any other so-called prophecy. They can write it so that it's true. All right? And the only way you will know what's happening is if you have a knowledge, a very good understanding of etymology and other linguistic concepts and principles. This is why the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course is so very important. Okay, so very important. I make it available for almost free. It's only $10 per month to subscribe. No contract. You can cancel anytime. Okay? So not only will you learn those linguistic concepts and the value of them and how profound they are in terms of writing and what we understand when we read something. See, writing is nothing more than a bunch of symbols. Period. Okay? These symbols make up words. The words have original meanings. Now, those words can be changed over time by whoever wants to, whoever has power to make it stick. Right? They can change. Even the spelling of the words can change. They can add vowels. They can add new symbols that have different functions. Okay? Omar Wright, there's a lot of people claiming to be elder. I simply call them older for their behavior and lack thereof. Yeah, and that's something else interesting. Remind me to get back to elder, okay? I discussed it last night in the class. So now, here you have symbols that make up words. Those symbols can be changed. You can add any other symbol and give it any other function. For example, vowels were added, A-E-I-O-U. Okay, you can double a consonant. You can take away a consonant. Okay? You can change the original meaning of a word. That's called connotative. You can give it a connotative meaning, which is used as a tool for social engineering. Okay? Now, on top of that, grammar rules. Omar writes, you one of the real elders. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Then there are grammar rules. Grammar rules dictate how those symbols, those words that are strung in a sentence or a question, right? How we're going to interpret them. Grammar rules can be changed. Let me repeat that. Grammar rules can be changed. So all of this can be changed, altered. And here we have the biblical Hebrew, modern Hebrew, Greek, Latin, English, any of the Germanic languages. Okay? So you can, if you control the lexicon or the dictionary and the grammar, you control meaning. And people who don't have that education, you can literally control them. How do you control them? You control them through spelling. Through spelling. Okay? Spelling is written literature, not magic that you've been led to believe on TV. Right? Casting a spell. Like, for example, in America, we have legalese. We have the statutory legal system that's replaced the natural law. Does everyone understand? They have a completely different language than everyday English. And if you don't understand that English, Well, you get yourself jammed up because you're outside, you're in a different jurisdiction, right? And most of you all don't even know what jurisdiction means. All right? So there's a natural law jurisdiction. I'm talking about North America. Natural law jurisdiction, and then there's statutory jurisdiction. So which law language do you speak? That's the issue. But this same concept applies to any language. You must know denotative meanings. That's etymology. You must know word morphology, sentence morphology, paragraph morphology. Okay? You have to know these things. And then you have to know grammar rules. Grammar rules as they started, as they were from the beginning, before they were changed. Okay? And you've got to have a knowledge of what those changes are. Once you have that understanding, at that point, literally, you're able to read, meaning you can comprehend. That is to say, you can read a text, you'll read a text, and when you come across a word, you know exactly what that word means. Okay? You know exactly what it means, its morphology, how it has changed or evolved over time, its denotative meaning, its connotative meaning, its function in a sentence. In other words, its grammar. Initially and how it's used now. Is it clear, scholars? So unless you have this understanding, you're really at a disadvantage. Okay, so that's why we need our own book of the law. That's why I'm doing the project to write the book of the law back into ancient Ibaryath, and from ancient Ibaryath into modern English, showing the etymological meaning of each word, how I render each word, and then the final sentence, okay, with its part of speech. So in other words, the function of the word, okay? So this is critical, very, very critical. We should have our own document. So if you want to support that project, you can hit up my Cash App, $DrYasapa, or PayPal, paypal.me/Zion Law School. If you don't want to do that, you can order any of my books. I've written 11, 12, 13, I don't know how many ancient Ibaryath books I've written, but they're there. Many of the links, I think I have links at least to 7 of my books that I've written on ancient Ibaryath. The one-on-one ancient Ibaryath course, you don't need any prior language courses, okay? You just get in and you'll actually see it in action. Okay, you'll see it in action. I'll bring it to life in those videos, about 113 videos. But anyway, enough about that. Everything that you need is in the description area of this video to get started, okay? So let's get back to where we were in the footnote. With this as background, Bauer prefers horse also for the passage in Mark and Luke. Y'all got that? Arndt and Greenrich, the Greek English lexicon. Lexicon simply means dictionary of Hebrew and English, okay? Of the New Testament and other early Christian literature, also Arcadian, you'll find all of this, but that's neither here nor there. University of Chicago Press, Chicago, Illinois, 1957, page 739. Okay, so this is not my opinion. Not my opinion. Okay? Either way you look at it, it's not good. Okay? It's not good for those who, the believers, right? But this is a bright light, right? This is a very bright light. But that bright light brings you back into reality. It brings you back into reality and out of the abstract corporate religious mindset, back to nature, back to reality. Okay? So in the case where it's translated as horse, it's still Sagittarius, right? And Sagittarius is ready for war. Uncontrollable, wild, can do anything at any moment. In the case of it being a donkey, it's still a hybrid, right? But the donkey itself is a hybrid. Sagittarius as a horse is still a hybrid, right? A man and a horse, a hybrid. A man and a donkey, the horse is a hybrid. So it's still a hybrid. Y'all follow me? See the significance of it? So let's continue back to the paragraph. All right. We generally interpret this scene through the eyes of popular piety. That means through religious doctrine, right? Which has robbed it of its powerful spiritual message. We are taught that riding on a donkey shows JC at his most humble. But we forget that the animal JC rode, whether donkey or horse, does not really matter. Okay, was, quote, one on which no one has ever sat, end quote, i.e., an unbroken animal. So now, again, scholars, if it's unbroken and you try to ride that, what is it going to do? It's going to try to throw you off. It's going to kick, right? It's going to kick. It's going to do everything we saw on TV when people would try to break a horse. Right? To try to throw the rider off. Going back to the mindset of the hybrid that I referenced earlier. And what's the best way to break a horse? Proven over time. Break the mother and then let the mother train its babies to be just like her. And they took that same concept and applied it to men and women. All right, so the woman gets broken and used to raise her little ones to accept being subservient, oppressed, and dominated. And to do what? Look at someone outside of themselves as their power. Clear? Same concept. Let's continue. JC was riding sedately, which no one, let me repeat that. JC was riding sedately on a bucking bronco. Get that image in your head, y'all. A bucking bronco, the horse or the donkey kicking up, trying to throw JC off. All right? Members of the horse family are not born as our natural allies. In other words, horses don't want you riding them. They're going to throw you off and probably try to kick you. Right? The same way a giraffe or a zebra would kick a lion. Right? They're not allies. They're not friends. And if they kick you, they're going to kill you. All right? They're born wild and turbulent. They instinctively rebel against human dominance. And in order for them to be, William Dose Wright, is that why it's the democratic symbol? Of course. Of course. Of course. Excellent point. And in order for them to be of any use at all, they have to be brought into subjection. They have to be broken. Buck breaking, right? Bronco, buck breaking. Remember, the way they did that was to break the mother first, so that the mother would teach the children, so that you don't have to, so that the owner, or so that the person who is oppressing doesn't have to do any breaking at all. Okay? Their natural, uncontrollable energies have to be harnessed. Your natural, uncontrollable energy had to be harnessed, and it's still harnessed, to a will that is stronger than their own. In other words, if you get out of line, they're going to terminate you, or lock you up, or do something to people you care about, right? No compassion. This is what they're talking about. They have to be broken, and with raw power is brought under the control of intelligence. You're brought under the control of fear through religion and physical violence. And what else? Through poverty. Right? Through poverty. You need them. They make you dependent on them. A formidable alliance is formed. Okay, so they do all of that to you. Now you need them. They control your mind. Now you become what? Allies. You don't even know why. Clear? Clear? All right. In such a context was born the mythological image of the centaur, half man, half horse, which married the twin qualities of intelligence. This is the upper part, the executive function of the man, and strength, which is the horse from the pelvis down. Right? The bucking horse, the impetuous. You don't know what he's going to do next. Loves to run and roam. All right? And it is not too difficult to see how the centaur came to symbolize the human being. Now, isn't that interesting? Human being. Human, you should automatically think what? Han Uman. Hue as in color, man. As in colorable man. Half man, half monkey. Has the appearance but not the substance of man. This is Genesis chapter 1. A symbolicum, that's the word from Black's Law Dictionary. A symbolicum, but not a real man. Okay? We're dealing with hybrids. Notice this, part God, part animal. All right, now we know who the GODs are. These are the Moors. Do y'all see where my fingers are pointing? It says human being. Take a look where my fingers are. All right, let me pause it here so everyone can take a look. Read it yourself. This is so on the playback, make sure you read this paragraph. Make sure you thoroughly understand it. William Dotes writes, so humans are hybrids. That's exactly right, William Dotes. The metaphysical understanding that we have from the 90s is just that, metaphysical. So when we deal with these documents, we're dealing with law. Okay, so in law, a human cannot inherit. Let me get back to that. Let me pause this, so let me at least get this shown so that you all can read it on the playback. Some people won't download it, for sure. Okay, second paragraph here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to address your question. Okay, so pause this on the playback. Download it. Now let me address it. So when you look in a halfway decent law dictionary, you're going to see human defined as a monster. It cannot inherit land. Okay? A human cannot inherit land. although born from the womb of a woman. Genesis chapter 2, Moors are by definition land. Go check it in a Black's Law dictionary. Okay, look up land, and you'll see in the meaning Moors, M-O-O-R-S. So Moors and land are synonymous. They're the same. This is why there is a long-standing principle that land or Moors are the substance and subject matter of the law. Okay, this is why you are a god. Psalms 82:6. That's why J.C. the Christ figure also said that you are gods. You're the rightful heir of all land, resources, and energies. Now, when I say energies, I'm talking about cosmic energies and energies that are emitted from living things. You're the rightful heir. Now, let's go back to human. Look in any good law dictionary. It'll say human. I may have posted it. Check this YouTube channel. My YouTube channel, Zion Law School. Check it. I may have posted a picture of it, but I've definitely got that in videos. Go back and watch the video. I have two. One thumbnail is a orangutan and a chimpanzee. The other one is a Neanderthal on a stake. Okay, and I think one may be this guy with a Pinocchio nose. I don't remember the titles of the videos, but in those videos, at least the Neanderthal. So William Dose Wright, what verse JC says we are? No, this is Genesis chapter 2. You need to go look in the law dictionary if you want to know about estates. Good to meet you. If you want to know about estates, you should read Leviticus. Okay, I believe it's Leviticus 25, talking about the Jubilee at the end of 49 years. All of the families will be returned to their family estates. Okay, so you'll find that video. I have maybe 2, maybe 3 videos that says Moors are the quote-unquote gods on the planet or something like that. Go watch those videos because I have it in there. Watch the video I did with Sanetta on my homepage of this YouTube channel. I believe the information is in there also. Okay? And you can see it, and then you can go check it and do whatever else you want to do with it. But go back to human. Hue means color, right? We used to think in the 90s, metaphysically, that was man with color. But in law, that is a colorable man. Therefore, it cannot inherit land because it's not a man. It has the symbolicum. It's like buying a pair of knockoff Nikes or a knockoff Gucci bag on Galansky Street in New York or in Chinatown. All right? It's a symbolicum, but it has no substance. All right? All right. So yeah, it's there. You just got to watch the videos, okay? And you'll get the verses. You'll get everything. William Doe said, "Color, yes, color of law. Yes, color of law. Color of law." And if you're operating outside of your Genesis chapter 2 status as a Moor, as a rightful heir, then you fall under color of law. William Dose writes, thank you. Okay, so that means you fall under the authority or jurisdiction. You are chattel, according to Genesis chapter 1. Clear? So Genesis chapter 1, I think it's verse 26, 27. somewhere around there, talks about the deity creating mankind. See that? Mankind. Colorable man. Do you understand, scholars? Colorable man. A kind of a man. The symbolicum, but not the substance. Created mankind in its image. What is his image? Well, if we look at this as being Nephilim, as the Elohim being Nephilim, William Dose, yes. If we look at the Elohim as being Nephilim, well, isn't that a hybrid? Half man, half angel, or half spirit creature? Aren't the Raphaim hybrids? Okay, well, you know I'm talking about giants, right? Isn't that correct? Let us make mankind in our image. So if you were to attend our classes, and all of y'all who watch this video, all of you can, okay, the link is in the description area of the video. You can show up. And we reviewed this. You'll know that that created creature, that genetically engineered creature, was an hermaphrodite. That's right. One body, male and female genitals. It had a D and a P. Watch the video that I did. It's called something like a critical analysis of Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. Okay? Skip the first 2 hours if you don't want to hear the same old Christian doctrine about Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. That's what you're going to find. 2 Hebrew Israelite Christians. They would probably be offended if they heard me say that. But they give their understanding, which is really nothing more than the doctrine that you've probably already heard. You may not know it all. Okay, Omar, get out. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Omar. Yes, indeed. So, at around 2 hours and 4 minutes, I go into the presentation using Ibaryath, okay, and using linguistic skills. And what you're going to find is that the Elohim are Raphaim. The story as you know it is completely fabricated. They have y'all secretly worshiping giants or Raphaim, more correctly, right? And JC, well, let me stop it at that. But anyway, my point is this. The created creature in Genesis chapter 1, these are genetically engineered entities. And you need to be aware that they look like men and women. They are a symbolicum of a man and a woman, but they don't have the substance. They have a different consciousness, okay, different intellectual capacity. And they were created to dominate you. Genesis chapter 2, men and women, or Moors. Now don't get it twisted when you hear the word Moors. It's not a religion. It's not a club. It's a bloodline. It's the autochthonous man and woman who are sprung from the soil. Okay, the autochthonous men and women who are sprung from the soil. Therefore, according to law, they are the natural and rightful heirs to all land, energy, and resources on the planet. Now, if you're sprung from the earth, from the soil, doesn't that mean you are the soil? Don't you have a right to you? It only makes logical sense. Okay, so when we see human, we should let go of this metaphysical stuff, right? The man with hue, the man with color, the triple black space and all of that, right? We're dealing with law here. Period. Law. Okay? So in law, and after this I'm going to let it go. In law, a human is a monster. A monster is a beast. A half man, half chimpanzee. Y'all go read The Clock of Destiny. Half man, half chimpanzee. A hybrid is a monster. Okay? Also, and I'm looking for the citations, but it's been brought to my attention that gender such as male and female only applies to animals. Only applies to animals. Now, if I remember correctly, Genesis chapter 1 says male and female, he created he, them. Or he created he, them, male and female. In Genesis chapter 2, and y'all go check it, I'm going from my memory, he created man, and then he created woman. Okay? So how do we identify as a man or a womb man? A man with a womb. Is it clear? Who are we? We're autochthonous Moors, meaning simply we're just Moors. Many nations came out. So some people may make a distinction. Oh, you're Kemet, and you're a Canaanite, and well, if you come from the soil, you are a Moor and you're a rightful owner. Okay? And I dare say that if you got a hold of these records and you wanted to divide people so that you could conquer them, why not divide them along bloodlines? Why not make them think that they have reason to hate each other and to do battle and not cooperate with each other so that they're always fighting? If they're always fighting, that leaves your oppressor in the power position. You waste all your time, energy, resources, and anything else you have fighting each other. And you never come together so that you can overcome and get your stuff back. This is the principle of divide and conquer. Just something to think about, but I want to move on. Watch the video with Sanetta on the title is something like all Abrahamic religions are a hoax or a fraud or something like that. Okay? So let's continue. It's like being unchained. I lost my space, my spot. Okay, and it is not too difficult to see how the centaur came to symbolize the human being. Part God, that's lowercase g. So you know that the lowercase g and uppercase G for God, y'all know that that's also a hoax, right? That's also a hoax. In ancient Ibaryath, or even biblical Hebrew for that matter, there's no capital letters. So in English, they use a capital letter to suggest what? The supreme deity. Suggest, I did not say it is, I said suggest the supreme deity. Okay, it's suggested. And the lowercase g suggests a deity other than the supreme. Okay? Period. Now, you've been bamboozled here because this God, uppercase or lowercase, can be a man, a magistrate, a judge, a giant, a messenger, angel. In other words, it can be anything higher, right? It can be a man or a hybrid who has status, authority, or it can be a Raphaim, okay, an angel. Y'all see how you've been played? Now, when you translate this word or you look at the origin, the etymology of God, well, let's do something first. When you look at it spelled backwards, it's dog. It's dog, okay? Now, God is Dios or Deus. This is Zeus, the deity Zeus. When you look at it in Latin, all right, when you look at it in German, I believe it's Old High German, this is Odin, Woden. Okay, and Odin, Woden, spelled in modern English is God. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. So every time you call on God, uppercase or lowercase, whatever your doctrine is, you're calling on Odin or Woden, or Germanic deity. All right? Now, why didn't your Hebrew Israelite officer, captain, or general, commanding general tell you that? Why didn't your elder tell you that? Your pastor, your reverend, your imam. Why didn't he tell you that? Every time you open your mouth, calling on or praying to God, you're breaking the first commandment. And you're invoking a deity that was involved in putting you in bondage. And here you are like a fool, praying to it, calling on it for help. Why? Why? Well, because you don't have the information. You never got the memo. And you're not supposed to get the memo, as I've said in other videos. William Doe says, wow. As I've said in other videos, particularly the last 3, 4, or 5 that I've done. The apostles asked JC, why are you speaking to the people in parables? In other words, they don't know what you're talking about. We're here, it's, maybe it's hot, wasting all of this time, you talking to the people in parables. They don't have a clue about what you're talking about. Maybe the apostles are thinking, I'm tired. I'm tired of dealing with these people, right? I want to go relax. Why are you speaking? Why don't you get to the point so we can go? Who knows what the apostles were feeling to make them ask JC, why are you speaking to them in parables? JC says, I'm speaking to them in parables so that they won't understand. Because if they understand and get the sense of it, they might repent. And if they repent, they'll be saved. Or they can be saved. So this means that JC didn't want to tell them because he wanted them to what? Not be able to repent. And he wanted them to die, burn in hell, if that's your doctrine. Or not be resurrected, if that's your doctrine. But in both cases, they won't go to heaven. Why? Because they never repented, scholars. But the Christian doctrine is that these parables, JC spoke in parables because it made complicated, complex stories easier to understand. And we believed it. When I was in Christianity, I believed it. Y'all go back and read the verses for yourself. When JC went into the house with the 12 apostles, JC said that that information was reserved for the apostles and those who were close to them that were in the room. Probably Mary, and y'all go back and read the account. But you know who his friends were. So those in the house were privy to get the meaning, the understanding of the parables. Why? Well, JC told you. So that they could understand it, get the sense of it, repent, and be saved. This is where, as I've said, like I said over the last 4 or 5 videos, this is where the concept of Christian secret societies come in. You have those who were in the house, inside of the house with JC, they get the understanding. But those of you who are outside of the house, in other words, the masses of the people, you get parables. In other words, you get what? Religion. You get a big bag of nothing. Why? Because JC don't want you to repent. He don't want you to understand. He doesn't want you to be able to repent. Why? Because he doesn't want you to be saved. Why? Because he wants you to burn or not have a resurrection. He doesn't want you going to heaven if that's your doctrine, or living forever on earth if that's your doctrine. Y'all see? Maybe this is a very bright light. Maybe this is a very bright light. Maybe it's causing you to feel some pain right now. Maybe you're saying, you know what? You know what? What you've been saying has been, a little bit disturbing or okay up until now, but now that you said this, I got to cut you off, Doc. I got to go. Could be, right? Very bright light can cause cognitive dissonance. Also recall that to be initiated to enter the house may require a homosexual act. Now, I'm getting this from another account with JC. Y'all can watch the last several videos that I've done to get this information in greater detail. JC invites, this is the secret gospel, secret section of Mark that was removed. JC invites a youth, not a man, a youth. Let me rephrase that. JC tells a youth something. Then the young man comes to see him in the evening. So he was obviously invited. He came in his loincloth. That's like a jockstrap, y'all. Front covered, back out. He stays overnight with JC, teaching him the mysteries of the kingdom of God. Now imagine, William Dose, no, I'm here to get an understanding, no loincloth. So y'all know what that suggests, right? That's very suggestive of some homosexual activity. So JC hit on him. Hit on him, drop by my place at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tonight. Don't come with nothing but a jockstrap on. Don't come with nothing but a loincloth on. The youth comes over, stays overnight. And as the story goes, JC teaches him the mysteries. Teaches him the mysteries of the kingdom of God. Now, what does that have to do with coming to somebody's house with a jockstrap on or a loincloth and staying overnight, right? Now, according to Clement of Alexandria, they took it out because it was too salacious. It was too shameful, shocking, and embarrassing. So they removed it. Well, why? Because other writers at that time, this is around 345 AD, when Clement of Alexandria, during his lifetime, at least that was when he was born, other writers began to say that JC and the youth were naked. William Dotes, doesn't Christ mean oil, aka semen? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oil, semen, seminary school. Yes, indeed. Excellent point, William Dotes. Thank you for that. All right, y'all. So part of this initiation into the inner house very well might be homosexual activity, even pedophilia, because it was a youth. The age is not said, but a youth is a youth, right? And we know that the Greeks have a tradition of mentoring boys, which means the man would have homosexual relations with the boy, pedophilia. Wouldn't this explain, too, the pedophilia inside of the Catholic Church and these other churches, and the pedophilia and homosexuality that you see throughout these churches, right? Especially in the modern day church, you see homosexuality, especially among the Negroes, the black church. All right? Let's see, where are we? I forgot how we got on this topic. Okay, so let's continue. We're gonna, okay. Yes. So the human being, part God, part animal. Now, aren't we the divine ones? Yes, aren't we the divine ones? Yes, we are. We are the quote unquote, the connotative gods. We create our own reality. We have a creative faculty of our mind. Okay, we have a creative faculty of our mind that allows us to create our own reality. Is that buck breaking? Yes, indeed, William Does. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. The great artist Picasso, let me see, part God, part animal, part creative intelligence, part destructive passion. Okay? Y'all go back, do some research on Han Uman and the half-man, half-monkey army. And in fact, these were used, these soldiers, well, they were created to be exactly that. Soldiers, people, beasts of burdens, who had some level of intelligence, you can communicate with it, to plow the fields, do all kind of agricultural work, row the boats. Okay, so this is why they were created, and as soldiers. And the dark priesthood, the black priesthood, these are Genesis chapter 2 Moors. All right, who did all of this stuff? You can make the correlation between the Moorish science history of it, right? The egg of a Moabite woman and the sperm of a of a chimpanzee. Y'all know the black one, the most aggressive one. So now, why did they use the sperm of a chimpanzee? Now, this may be controversial to somebody, to some people. Well, I'm going to tell you why. They used the male sperm of the male chimpanzee because it can never have the right to inherit anything. Why? Because the father is an animal. The father never had a right to own land. The chimpanzee was never given a land allotment. Y'all got it? So they don't have a claim to land. Okay? So that preserves our estate. So at least they thought about that, right? When they made that created creature. This is so you can look at the story with the Moorish history of it, and then the Yaqub story. You know, the big-headed scientist. You heard about that through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam. Now we also know that Yaqub had 12 genetic engineers, women who were working with him. So you have the 12 apostles and the Christ figure. Did y'all hear me? You have the 12 apostles, the women genetic engineers who assisted Yaqub, the big-headed scientist. So you have the 12 apostles and the Christ figure who created the created creature we call a hybrid troglodyte Paleolithic nigger. Nigger meaning a black chimpanzee, the caveman. Okay? But anyway, let's continue. The great artist Picasso was asked toward the end of his long life how he felt now that age had robbed him of his not inconsiderable physical passions. Quote, "It's like being unchained from a wild animal," he replied. Chained to a wild animal is not a bad description of any human being in the full flush of youthful vigor. I would never define my youth as being chained to a wild animal. I don't know about y'all. But that my youth was not me being, like a wild animal. Not at all. And I don't even know anybody who would even use that description for their youth. I mean, not a Genesis chapter 2 man or woman. What about y'all? I mean, would you describe your youth as being like chained to a wild animal? In other words, you can't control your desires, right? You want to do something you know is really bad, but you go do it anyway. Or you want to do something you don't make any sense at all, or it's against your best interest, and you go do it anyway. Usually people are doing these kind of things out of poverty. Out of poverty. William Dose writes, note, yeah, people do stuff like that when they're hungry or when they're trying to get comfort and relief. But that's not the norm. Okay, so let's continue. Some of the animals to which we are chained are wilder than others, but all of us must admit that there are parts of our nature which are difficult to integrate, that we are complex, composite, ambiguous creatures. Well, I wouldn't say that about myself. And have I done stupid stuff? Yes, but it's not, I've never done anything crazy, okay? I've done things that, I knew I shouldn't have did that, right? I've done stupid stuff like that. But we know the kind of stupid stuff that the hybrids do, right? We know what he's talking about. Okay, let's continue. So this idea that all of us admit that there are parts of our nature, no, there's no part of my nature which I found difficult to integrate. That ain't me. The 18th century poet Alexander Pope describes this dual nature of human beings in his essay on man. Placed on the isthmus of the middle state, a being darkly wise and rudely great, he hangs between in doubt to act or rest, in doubt to deem himself a capital God or beast. I've never experienced that. How about y'all? In doubt of his mind or body to prefer, born but to die, and resting but to err. See, this is why the hybrid is envious and jealous of us, y'all. See, they're full of self-doubt. They have these animalistic urges, right? And then they have some man type of what we have. And the two are conflicting. And they're at odds in their own brain. Chaos of thought and passion, all confused, right? Still by himself abused or disabused, created half to rise and half to fall, great Lord of all things, yet a prey to all. See that? Sees himself as an animal, conflicted, until they choose whether they're going to be what? A wolf or a lamb. Sole judge of truth in the endless error hurled. William Dose Wright, is that why they can't vibrate higher than a 6? I would think so. I would think so. And plus, they don't have the genetics. We have different genetics. Like our genetics for intelligence, we have more than they do. They're just maybe 1 or 2 above a chimpanzee. Just 1 or 2 above. One day I'm going to get that research paper and I'm going to go through it with y'all. Okay, but Dr. Oyebu, the Gaga professor, he does a really, really good job of explaining that. In fact, he was the first person that brought that to my attention. And he's been talking about that since the 1990s, y'all. But that study has been copyrighted, but anyway, y'all can search it and find it. Just search Dr. Gabriel Oyebu, Gaga, G-A-G-U-T. Sole judge of the truth in endless error hurdled, the glory, jest, and riddle of the world. From the essay on man by Alexander Pope, born 21st of May, 1688. Shalom in Islam to the Moors. If y'all want to support my work, if you learned anything, if you feel it in your heart that we need our own copy of the book of the law, if you agree with me that it's an embarrassment, a humiliation, and a shame that we don't have our own copy of the book of the law, I am the man who will write it. I want your support and participation up front because I'm not willing to eat soy sauce and rice until I finish this project, okay? And then have to struggle with all of the challenges that the Hebrew Israelites and Christians are going to put forward because they don't want you to have this. So I need to get the support of the people up front, all right? Because this is a massive undertaking. As I always say, all of these organizations like the NIV, KJV, all of these Bible translations, they have teams of translators and they have a lot of money behind them. And the translators get paid. Okay? It's me. And I'm going to do it original, from scratch, one word at a time. I'm not buying a template where you just type in a few words that you want to change. No. I'm doing it from scratch. I'm giving you the Ibaryath word, the ancient Ibaryath, its etymology, its rendering, how I render it in English, part of speech, that's its function in the sentence. And then I'm going to give you the finished sentence, the finished paragraph, the finished document in modern, easy to understand English with footnotes. With footnotes, I'm inviting others who may have a different point of view on the same word or verse to put their idea in the footnote. All they need to do is know what they're talking about. All right? And, just be competent. And somebody who I don't have to wait 6 months or a year for them to get me their stuff because I'm not going to wait. Right? But anyway, links to my Cash App and PayPal are in the description area of this video. Cash App is $DrYasapa. PayPal is paypal.me/DrYasapa. Make sure y'all buy my books. Make sure you subscribe to the one-on-one Ancient Ibaryath class. And make sure you show up every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the live online 506 The Curses course that I teach. And you can see how all of this ancient Ibaryath and linguistic stuff work. Okay, I'll put back in the cosmology, the astrology, the natural law principles, remove the mythology, remove the deceit, remove the lies, right, the Jeremiah 88 occurrences, and present you with the book of the law as our ancient ancestors understood it. Shalom in Islam.